This is always the slightly nerve-wracking part. It usually works. Chitter chat while it happens. Here we are. Here's Nicole. Hi, Nicole.
Good morning, Maria. How are you?
Very well. Nice to see you in San Francisco.
Yes, yes, indeed. We're finally getting a little bit of rain, which we're very grateful for. It's
Good, good.
been a dry fall.
Yeah, I bet. And you've had, all the forest fires and all those other problems. So I'm sure that rain is very welcome.
It's very much needed. Yes, we're very happy about it.
Fantastic. Now, Nicole, for those who don't know Lange, well, why don't you start by telling us who you are and how Lange has come to be in this enviable position of being one of the leading antique jewelry retailers, not just in the not just in San Francisco, not just in the States, but actually in the world.
Certainly, I'm happy to. So Lange was started 50 years ago by a woman named Jarmila Lange and her sister, and they were originally more of an antique furniture and objet. They did some jewelry, but really sort of spanned the breadth of antiques. And she ran it together with her sister until she sold it to the current owners in the early 90s. And the owners now are Mark Zimmelman, who comes from a jewelry family in LA. Mm-hmm. And his father was a jeweler, and they have bought and sold diamonds. And the other business partner here is Suzanne Martinez, who is a gemologist and jewelry historian. So mm-hmm. they bring a nice combination of skills.
Right. And actually, somebody just asked, did Lange ever have an office in Hatton Garden or?
We haven't. It's only been in San Francisco. We've actually even only been on this one block in San Francisco. So we've not gone worldwide yet.
Area, right?
Yes, we're between Union Square and Chinatown, so the downtown San Francisco area.
Mm-hmm. Great. And there was something quite key, and I suspect it's to do with the fact that you're quite near Silicon Valley, but you started e-commerce 10 years ago. So that put you in quite a different position, didn't it?
We did. We've been working in the e-commerce space for quite some time. We thought that it might be a nice way to try and reach people directly who maybe don't have this kind of access in their local area. And we have managed to build a really lovely collection. And I've been working with Lange for about 7.5 years now. I manage their marketing and their e-commerce.
Fantastic. And I suppose it becomes a virtuous circle in that because you have a wider range of or reach of clients, a higher number of clients, you can then have more stock. And because you have more stock, you get more clients. So that's why you're able to offer, I think, what's the figure? Something like over 3,000 pieces.
We're pushing to 3,500 right now. Yes, we've got a big collection. I dare say possibly the biggest in the world. I'm not sure, but certainly probably the most online.
Yeah, I'm definitely hard to beat, and also combined with the knowledge that you are so proud of having and sharing, and obviously putting into every transaction and purchase that you do.
Yeah, Lange Antiques, one of the key pillars of our mission is around education. We really think that anybody with an interest in vintage jewelry is welcome, and there's a lot to learn. Every piece has a story, and you can't possibly, no matter how good you are, you can't possibly know everything about every era. So we encourage people to find the things that speak to them and do a little studying and research, because the stories are fascinating.
And in the short time that I've known you, speaking is a very important part of your job, and you guys can all talk the back leg off a donkey when it comes to jewelry, can't you?
Well, I think we're all pretty passionate. We sometimes call ourselves jewelry nerds, and we dig into a lot of the details. So it's fun. I mean, every piece, like I said, is individual and unique, and it's fun to do the detective work to find out about it.
Absolutely. And you even got a university, the Lange University. So
yes, so we have a sister site called Antique Jewelry University that we put together. It's scholarly research. We have a very frequently used Hallmark search utility on there, which allows people to take a look at the marks inside their jewelry and see if they can learn more about them. So it's quite extensive, everything from gemology to history to hallmarks. And it's a lovely rabbit hole to fall down if you're interested in jewelry.
I bet. And but when I spoke to you before, you mentioned to me that engagement rings were quite a big category. People come to you for that often initially, the first important purchase they make. So tell me about why you're so strong in the engagement ring market.
Well, engagement rings are interesting because they're often one of the first important pieces of jewelry that someone will buy, and something that most of the time people put a lot of research into. They come to a place that has vintage, I think, for a number of reasons. I mean, first of all, being that every piece is so unique, you're not going to find another one out there exactly like it. So it allows people to pick a style that really speaks to their individuality. In many cases, the craftsmanship is amazing. Lots of these pieces are handmade and really phenomenal. And then I think the other thing that brings people to vintage, and especially nowadays with everything that's going on, is the fact that they are inherently sort of eco-friendly. There's no new mining being done. We're repurposing, we're reusing. It really is the most, we think, kind of the greenest option.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned the word mining, which really nicely brings us to the first piece of jewelry you're going to show us, because you are in San Francisco, of course, you know, the 49ers. How could we not mention them and their contribution to jewelry and all the gold that changed the economy of the world as we know it today?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to flip the camera around and we're going to look at beautiful jewelry, which is far more fun. And we're going to kick it off with a little bit of California history.
Yeah, I love this piece. I love it.
So, one moment.
Nicole has been practicing flipping her camera.
I have been. I have a whole new respect for those people who sell jewelry on television. So this
Look
is
at that. Isn't that adorable?
a little miniature gold panning setup with the shovel and the pick and the little gold nuggets in there. It is a brooch that someone would have worn, and this is how the earliest mining would have been done. It was actually, gold was found in the end of 1848 on property of John Sutter. We're actually located on Sutter Street, named after him. So it's a little bit of an homage that we have this nice collection of 49er jewelry, 1849. So
this would have been worn by a successful somebody who literally struck gold and then wanted to show the world that, you know,
it would have.
They made it.
And then after the sort of the initial deposits that you could mine with this sort of panning for the gold in the river wore out, what they then moved to is mining gold from hard stone, and the stone that they often found it in was quartz. So if you can see, let me see if I can get a little better lighting.
So those are links of a fob chain for a watch.
So this is a watch chain that somebody rather successful would have worn and would have put that through his vest. He has a little gold nugget fob hanging off the end of it and would have clipped his pocket watch here. And it's made with the quartz host rock that you can see the veins of gold in it.
In it. And I think you've got a brooch which shows it even better, doesn't it?
I do. We have another piece that probably, I would imagine, possibly have been worn by his wife. But a women's brooch.
Okay, well, that set us nicely into the San Francisco and where Lange is coming from. And
indeed.
And then I know you're going to show us this incredible array of engagement rings. I think on the tray you're showing us, I'm going to have to look at my notes now. You have a price ring, which is really interesting, that goes from just under $1,500 up to, well, there's 175, but I know there's a 325,000.
Yes, so we have
in the back somewhere
a beautiful array of engagement rings. I have them a little bit in order. So these would be kind of earlier, late 1800s Victorian, moving through to Edwardian, moving through to Art Deco. And it's fascinating to see the evolution of these because it reflects not only the fashion of the times, but also the technology that would have been available to them to cut the diamonds, to manufacture the engagement rings. And
the different metals that would have been used as well, how it evolved from.
Indeed. Yep. So
gold, platinum.
Yeah, so these are some beautiful examples of Victorian rings. This is more of a solitaire with an old mine cut diamond center. This beautiful cluster style, which we see a lot in Victorian. And it's got great details on the side. And then we do oftentimes have people who come to us with, requests for colored stone engagement rings. And this is a really stunning Cashmere Sapphire, actually. This is a very special ring.
It looks as fresh as the day it was mined, doesn't it?
It's beautiful. And, you know,
Mm.
the sapphires from the Cashmere mine really only were mined in the mid 1880s. So it was a very short period of time that you were able to get material this beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. And what else have you got there, Nicole, that we can see? Because it's so
And then,
tempting to see them in the background.
yes, of course, sorry to have my hand in the way. Maybe I'll take that out. It's very exciting to be able to put all this jewelry on every day. It's one of the nicest parts of my job.
I
Besides,
bet.
besides the fact that I get to help people during a really fun moment in their lives. Uh,
Absolutely, yeah.
Most of
And
the time, people buy jewelry for happy reasons. So these we're moving.
that is true, isn't it? Yeah. So
Yeah.
you
So we're
get
really
happy people in your shop.
we get to celebrate with them. We've had more than one proposal actually in our shop. Lots of birthday presents, lots of anniversary presents, and there's really nothing nicer than watching two people who are in love actually find the right ring, because they get a little flush. They both sometimes tear up a little bit. It's very exciting to
I
watch.
bet you love it. You love it. I
It's
like the, being me, I like the the furthest one, that large one there, and I can probably tell you what it
yes.
is. I've got my cheat list as well. So that is
So
is that the
these are
Tiffany one?
it is. These are Edwardian. You can see they're just starting to have the technology to work platinum. So you
Mm,
get these really, really fine details. And then this one, the Tiffany one at the end, probably deserves its own spotlight because it is,
3.68 carats.
yes, it is spectacular. It's got a
Yeah.
ton of detail everywhere you look, and
And what a diamond.
a beautiful European cut diamond. You can see that the pattern of the sparkle is a little different than a modern diamond. It has
Mm,
a smaller top facet table. So this one is really a superb ring. It's a very, very pretty.
very nice. Yeah.
And then this is kind of a late Edwardian into Art Deco. And so we'll move into sort of a more Art Deco feel.
Yeah, and you were saying sometimes it's difficult to distinguish exactly where the change
It
comes when
really
you're
is. I
looking at
mean,
jewelry.
to some degree, I won't say it's a construct, but you know, at the time they didn't just switch over the calendar and say, okay, this year we're Art Deco. Uh,
That's true. Very
you know,
true.
as all jewelry and fashion styles evolve, you sort of can see them more clearly when you look back at them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So so these Art Deco, you'll start seeing a little bit more geometry. You'll see a
Oh,
little cleaner
gorgeous. Yeah.
lines. You often see these, you know, set with colored stone accents. And this has some beautiful calibre sapphire.
Very
And
elegant. So, and so contemporary, that one with the sapphires, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, I think Art Deco is where a lot of people get introduced to vintage jewelry. It's really
Mm,
understandable because there's a lot of clean lines, and you know, we're celebrating the 100th year, so Art Deco pieces are starting to become antique in the vintage jewelry world. It's antique after 100 years.
100. Mm-hmm.
Vintage is sort of 50 and older, and then estate is anything pre-owned, which could be a contemporary piece.
Yeah, amazing. And I suppose what is so attractive for anybody looking for engagement rings, they have such a wide choice if they come
Yeah,
to
I
you.
mean, this is beautiful. It only has about a quarter carat diamond in it, but you know, the setting is gorgeous. The design is beautiful. It's
And
not always about having the biggest diamond. It's about having just a gorgeous, unique ring.
that's the one that's just under $1,500.
It is, yes. So you know, we understand that it's not exactly a night out at the movies cheap, but it's certainly more affordable, and we have beautiful jewelry for everybody, which we think is really important.
Yeah, lovely. Wonderful. So there, engagement sorted.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you can have a huge array of choice at Lang. And
Yes.
I know the next tray I think is not, well, one of my favorites. They're all my favorites. I
Are
can't
you a
pick my
fan?
favorite, but it's one of my favorites.
Yes, it's we often find, so people come to us for their vintage engagement ring, but if they really are passionate about vintage jewelry, we hope to sort of evolve them into collectors, into people who then focus on what they really love the best. And I brought some of our kind of more beautiful collector pieces, and I'm going to go through them kind of in a timeline order. So most of our
Okay.
collection is mid 1800s to sort of mid 1900s ish. So I'm covering about 100-year span, and it won't certainly involve every single movement in jewelry, but I'm going to try and give us some of the highlights. So
Fantastic. Look at this, a whole little jewelry encyclopedia.
yes, you know, it's interesting for me to see how the jewelry evolves. So this we're going to start with some of our oldest pieces. And forgive me while I set up my camera a little better.
Yeah, Nicole is doing this single-handed, by the way. So she's very brave because
I'm
it
doing my very best.
involves taking glasses on and off, flipping, picking up and down.
There's a lot of things going on right now, Maria, and I'm
Yeah,
totally distracted by
you're doing
sparkles on
well.
top of it all. So this is potentially, I think, one of the oldest pieces we have in our collection right now. This is a Georgian piece, so it would have been the early 1800s. It's got these beautiful rose-cut diamonds, which were meant to kind of glitter in the candlelight. Is the cutting technology they had was just to put more flat facets on. And this piece, we can tell, because it's flat across like that, may have even been a button or a decorative item sewn on clothing. The shank on this is actually newer, but the top part of it, the diamonds and the settings, are indeed, 150 or so, maybe more years old. And it's set in gold with silver over top of it. So the silver over gold construction was what they had available to them in terms of using a white metal. And it's oxidized over the years, which gives us this beautiful patina dark effect. I love the dark setting with a glitter diamond.
Yeah.
So it was common for them to use silver over gold for the diamonds, and for pieces, such as this one, which was a brooch. Lots of beautiful diamonds set in there. You can see all of this hand done, hand pierced.
Really lovely. And in fact, that's one of the first clues when you're trying to identify jewellery and put it into a specific period, is looking at the metal, and silvers is quite a good starting point, isn't it?
It is. Also, the other thing to notice is looking at the construction of some of the findings. The pin stem, that sort of C catch, shows that it is an older piece. So that's one of the clues that help us figure out how old a piece of jewelry is. This is a beautiful Georgian piece. It's got closed back topazes, and oftentimes they put a little foil backing behind it to emphasize the color and to sort of improve the color of it. So these would be closed back, foil back, and then this one even has a little locket area at the back, so that you could have put in.
Very whimsical, yeah.
Yeah, you could have put in, oftentimes it would have been hair of somebody that you loved, right? Another beautiful Georgian yellow gold piece.
And that's amethyst, isn't it?
It is amethyst with some natural pearls in it as well.
Wow, and is that a foil back as well?
This one, I think, has just a plain polished gold backing to improve the color. I don't think that this one is foiled. But yeah, beautiful piece. And so we start moving on. We see, Victorian era, they're continuing to do that silver over gold, but it's getting a little bit more sophisticated. This is an amazing bracelet set with no heat sapphires. And beautiful. They're beautiful, all of them. And so this would have been all hand done. They would have had these sapphires come out of the ground exactly as blue as they are. One of my favorite parts about this piece is actually, even though the sapphires are beautiful, it's the fact that they took the time to actually hand engrave the tongue. That's a piece that you're never even going to see, really, except for the person who is wearing it. But I think it just sort of speaks to how finely made some of these pieces are, and just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
And
another, beautiful silver over gold. Yeah, the Victorians were very into their symbolism. They used a lot of animal motifs. I brought a little menagerie with us, and I think I probably have to start with my favorite of them. He is a beautiful enameled snake. I love this guy.
He's fantastic.
I love him so much. So he's set with little natural pearls on his head and little garnet eyes. And if you can see the little serrated teeth in his mouth, and then they used the clasp, they forked it like it was his tongue.
Look at that detail.
So you open and close it in that way.
He's got personality. I think he needs a name.
I would welcome anybody's suggestions for what to name him. I think
suggestions, please, for naming this
right in
little serpent.
And he
And how
does.
much is that bracelet? Somebody's asking.
He's
I
got a
don't know.
beautiful. He's under 10, I
I can tell
believe.
you if you want.
It's 8,950 US.
8,950. And if it was the sapphire bracelet you were asking about, that is
Yes, the Sapphire's
38,000.
a bit more.
Yeah, $38,000. I didn't see your name, whoever asked that, but thank you for asking. I hope that answers your question.
But yes, you have to imagine those sapphires came out of the ground exactly like that, which is it's a beautiful thing Mother Nature did. This another one in our menagerie is this beautiful little salamander. He's made with demantoid garnets, which would have come from Russia at the time. But another one where it's just beautiful detail, really fun personality.
Yeah, you gotta love him.
And the color. And then this one I brought because I think it's fascinating. This is actually a micro mosaic piece. So all of the little pieces that you see in here are tiny little strands of pulled glass. And they set them end on end, like vertically on the ends, and make these beautiful mosaic pieces. These would have been very popular souvenirs from, you know, sort of a grand tour that folks would have gone on. This one is actually engraved, hard to see in the reflection, but it's engraved Sally from Florence, January 10th, 1895.
Well, there you
So,
are. That was
so somebody brought back a souvenir for Sally from probably from Florence, Italy, although I suppose it's possible it could have been from a person named Florence, but I think it's an Italian
piece.
But
I think
a lot of fun.
Mel has suggested a name for the snake. He's King Serpentine.
Oh, I love it. Oh, he certainly is kingly.
That's a London snake.
Yes.
A Hyde Park snake, to be specific.
Yeah.
Great. So yeah, that just shows the variety of styles and different forms of jewellery that you have there.
Yeah, so moving on through the Victorian era, this one sort of hints at it with some of the bow motif that goes on. We move into Edwardian, and what you'll see is a very big shift almost in the jewelry technology, because they finally had the ability to work with platinum. They had developed a torch hot enough to work platinum. So you'll see a shift into white metals.
And lightness, lace-like.
They were intended to replicate lace in the beginning. That was sort of what they were going for. And they used a lot of white gems in it as well. So this one, for example, is set with natural pearls and diamond, and has that amazing, amazing filigree work that was all hand done with teeny tiny little platinum wires.
That is incredible.
I mean, just to think about the time it took to get those all parallel kind of makes my head hurt almost.
And that one, I'm looking at the price list, is $18,950.
Yes, so
anyone's asking,
a couple of beautiful examples of Edwardian platinum jewelry. You can see that.
I got that wrong. Sorry, that was my mistake. The pearl one is $7,950. The diamond one is $18,950.
Yes,
my mistake. But both absolutely beautiful and so contemporary.
Yeah, I mean, they really do. They have a very timeless feel to them and beautiful workmanship. So a lot of natural pearls being used during that time. They were still, you know, very, very valuable. The world of cultured pearls had not developed yet, so they were still among the most valuable gems. This one, beautiful bracelet set with natural pearls. They often also wove little seed pearls into, it's almost like fabric. It's so flexible and beautiful. And so they strung these seed pearls on little tiny platinum wire. And it's like a ribbon that you would, you know, wrap around your wrist. And you would have this beautiful motif in the center with this diamond. And in this case, they actually used synthetic sapphire, which they had developed the technology for making. And they used that because they got more color consistency from it. So it's not uncommon in late Edwardian and into the Deco era to see accents of synthetic stones. And, you know, we sometimes think of it as like, why didn't they use real ones? Well, they were showing off their technology and they were using things that actually made it look more beautiful.
Interesting.
And as you go later into the Edwardian period, you also see some examples with color. This one is a particular favorite of mine just because of how
Amazing.
light and lacy it is. It has a little bit of the kind of naturalistic forms and swerves and swoops that you would have seen in an Art Nouveau piece, which is a design motif that was running concurrently, kind of almost in reaction to the kind of stiff all white. The Nouveau movement was more naturalistic. They did a lot of enamel, a lot of colored stones. I didn't bring any, but maybe that's a topic for another conversation.
Another one, but that emerald is amazing. And for those who are interested, it is $33,000.
But I mean, beautiful Colombian emerald, amazing workmanship on
lovely
the
piece.
bracelet.
Yeah, I think that's going to be on my wish list.
Is it? I like this one as well. Another, you can just see, I mean, just to look at the detail of these is, I mean, I could sit and stare at these all day and sometimes get distracted and do, but this is a beautiful color change sapphire. So it goes from blue to purple. And this piece would have been made really to highlight that gem. It would have been handmade. They would have featured this amazing, phenomenal gem that they had found and figured out a way to set it. This one is one of my favorites for the color. This is a stone called blue zircon, which is a natural
I think it's important to emphasize it. The name has been sort of muddied by the
yes.
One is an incredible stone, and it's got a sort of diamond-like brilliance, hasn't it? Is it double refractive, Zach? Double refraction, I think, isn't it?
It is singly refractive, I believe, zircon, like a diamond.
So I'm wrong, but it's refractive.
I might be wrong.
Anyway, sure you're right, Nicole.
It's gorgeous, gorgeous blue, really electric kind of aqua.
Incredible. So someone's going to correct me now on that.
I'm sure, or correct me too. I should know these things. I get too distracted by the jewelry and I get my gem facts wrong.
No, but a beautiful color. And zircon is in fact one of those stones that we're rediscovering. And it's particularly hard to work with. So it's beautiful to see it in such a size. And there we are.
It is into my favorite era, and probably is, you know, like we were talking earlier, the more easily understandable, but the Art Deco era. And I love the geometry of it. I love the color contrast. So
lovely. You know, Nicole, we've only got a few minutes left, so we're going to have to whip through to the highlights. It's so lovely.
Right. Well, you would have worn a stack like this maybe if you could afford to. And if you were really lucky, you would have a piece like this, which is made by Oscar Heyman, and it is superlative. It is gorgeous.
It's lovely how there's a mix of the geometry of the diamonds and then the very naturalistic leaf shape. So it's quite an intricate,
yes,
sophisticated piece.
You would have had pieces like this double clip brooch, which you could wear like this, or when you flip it over, you can actually take it apart and wear these two pieces separately.
Like on your lapels, yeah?
On your lapels, on your dress collar. They're very versatile pieces. And this sort of hints a little bit at that Cartier Tutti Frutti mix of colored stones and diamonds that was popular at the time.
Yeah, and it's such a new combination because before it was unthinkable to put green with blue or
no, it was very radical.
Yeah, and
certainly inspired by you know, by their trips to India and all of the beautiful colors and that culture that they used. Do we need to hop all the way ahead to the grand finale? Are we at that
Let's go
point in time?
Well, you've done so well, Nicole. You've got so many beautiful things to show.
As beautiful as the rest of our pieces are, what I really think is the showstopper of our whole collection is this gorgeous Art Deco. We call it a moval because it's a bit of a marquee and a bit of an oval. And this one is a very special diamond because it is from the Golconda region in India. And those diamonds are, they're classified as type 2A. They're incredibly pure diamonds. This one is a D color. It's internally flawless. It's just about as perfect as anybody could possibly get in a diamond. It is amazing. A stunning 4.45 carat, and it is set in an original Art Deco mounting. So
but it would have been that simple, the setting, because it's so modern looking with its
yes, I mean it would have just been about highlighting that amazing diamond, and you get you certainly do get detail and workmanship in it, but the important part of this is just seeing that.
Yeah. And before you
Sure.
ask me, that is, I'm going to just check with my glasses on.
It is
$325,000.
it is an investment piece. It is heirloom quality. The Type 2A, Golcondas are getting more and more rare, so they are very, very collectible for folks who have the means to collect them. It is really, really spectacular.
Well, I think we started with that little brooch that was under $1,000, and we've ended with the Golconda and the brooch, very much of San Francisco, and that very much of global jewelry.
Exactly. Exactly. You can go from here to here.
Yeah, amazing. That just shows the span of what you have at any one time.
It does. And, it's important to understand that, a beautiful Art Deco ring can be this, right? Or it can be this. And it just depends on what your budget and your lifestyle and your taste is like.
Amazing. Well, wonderful. And what an insight. And just to say before we go that you can visit the store, well, not right now, but when you're back
We're
in
open by
business.
appointment. So you can, in
Okay.
fact, come in. We are trying to limit our number of people so that we can continue to remain safe. We do a lot of sanitizing. We limit entry, but we are showing jewelry in person, which is, if you can do it, the best way too. Otherwise, I do a lot of video conferences, sort of similar to this, where I show jewelry and talk people through so that they can
Fantastic.
have that experience.
And you've also got everything on your website at
Yes, so
Lange.
it's all listed there. We have beautiful photography and model shots. We are always happy to answer any questions. You can write in and ask us questions. We're happy to tell you more. We can't tell you everything in one web page, but we'll be happy to do the
Good.
research.
Nicole, I feel that was just a taster. We have to do this again because I know people are going to say, why
I'd
did
be
we see
happy
all those
to.
rings?
Sure. We can focus on one era or one gem. I could talk about jewelry all day long.
That is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. And best wishes from London to San Francisco.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. Thanks, Maria.
Thank you. Bye, Nicole.
Bye.
Bye.